Hello there, Matthew J. Elliott here, taking time out from doing British things like correcting people's grammar and, well, that's it really, to congratulate you, the listener, for selecting the True Blue Riffcast. Yes, you could have picked any one of the thousands of Riff Tracks themed podcasts on the web, but your perspicacity led you to seek out the number one Riff Tracks podcast, and for that, you should be commended. Now, I'm going to turn you over to your hosts, Dave and Jeremy, and I shall board a flight back to England without even so much as the boxed lunch I'd been promised.
Thank you, Matthew. I beat you.
Oh.
I beat you to it. Thank you,
I was
Matthew.
taking a sip of coffee.
Yeah, and well, you got to be quicker than that. So, welcome to the True Blue Riffcast, the number one Riff Tracks podcast in the world. I don't know if you have an in the world graphic audio thing for me, but I know you have one for you. But anyway, I'm Dave, and I am joined as always by.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, and I'm the number one Riff Tracks fan in the world.
Yeah, but you lost control of the podcasts.
I did. I always
control.
do. You always take it over. Dude.
Yeah, but like it's like right out from the gate, guns blazing. I own
He's
this
ready
mountain.
and raring to go. It's been a while since we've recorded an episode, so we're both kind of anxious and excited to get doing this.
Yeah, fun fact, everybody. Jeremy does basically all the work for this podcast, and I give him a lot of crap while we're here on the air, and he's got to like edit out a lot of dumb shit I say. So I just want to say, thanks, Jeremy, for everything you do for the True Blue Riffcast. I know sometimes it seems like I'm an obnoxious a-hole, but I really do appreciate all the work you do for the podcast. I just want that out there on the record in public.
I appreciate that. Okay. Since we're right after Thanksgiving, I also thank you for doing this with me, because it would be terrible if it was just me rambling on by myself.
Yeah, it would be super boring.
Indeed. Oh, man, we do have a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
Two riffs that we're going to be discussing. Oddly enough, even though we haven't recorded in a few weeks, we haven't really missed a lot.
No.
We didn't get a new release last week on Black Friday. The week before that, we got one, and then we had like a short. But we do have Battle for the Lost Planet to talk about.
That short is bananas.
Oh yes, the Munchers.
We'll save that for a short review of Riff Tracks shorts.
Yes, that will be coming soon, I'm sure.
Because I feel like that thing deserves its own long discussion, and this episode is already going to be very long.
We also have the latest MP3 release, Just the Jokes, for Gymkata.
Gymkata.
In the meantime, before we get to that, we have 4 episodes of The Mandalorian to discuss.
Yeah, we sure do. Hold on, wait a minute. Jeremy, eventually at some point you're going to need to get a clip so I don't have to do this every time. True Blue Mandocast with Jeremy and Dave.
The first thing we need to talk about is what happened in the second episode of the season. You may remember a part of a discussion that Dave and I had prior to this about when we thought the fans were going to start turning on Baby Yoda.
This was in the episode labeled The Urkel Factor. In fact, the Urkel Factor, the episode The Urkel Factor takes its name from this very discussion that we're talking about, The Urkel Factor.
I said halfway through the season. Turns out it was episode 2.
Yeah.
Because he ate some eggs.
Yeah, he ate some eggs. So let's give some context. Okay, so officially in canon, Amy Sedaris. Amy Sedaris is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. Amy Sedaris, so favorite that I can't even bother to commit her character's name to memory. She gives Mando and the child, or Grogu now, more on that later, like, okay, I know where the Jedi are. You can find other people that will tell you where the Jedis are, but you have to take this Frog Lady. Frog Lady is her canon name to this planet where the people will tell you where the Jedi are. So it's basically we're like 2 steps removed from the Jedi at this point.
Or other Mandos.
Yeah,
Other
or
Boba
yeah,
Fett.
something. Yeah, and
This was a month ago. We can't remember.
yeah, it's. But Frog Lady, her name in canon is that she has to get to her home planet to meet up with her husband, Frog Guy or Frog Man, and she has with her this container, this airtight container with water and a bunch of floating purple eggs in it that are unfertilized. Okay, they are unfertilized eggs. They made a big deal about that. Okay,
Yes.
now Baby Yoda's big thing is that he's cute, right? And
He's cute and he's always hungry.
he's always hungry. And they played that up in this episode, and Baby Yoda looks at this thing like, oh, look at this, like, I wonder what this is. I'm a dumb baby, right? So Frog Lady takes her backpack with her eggs off and puts it down. They go up to the cockpit, and she falls asleep. Everyone else falls asleep. Mando wakes up like, oh, I wonder where Baby Yoda is. Goes downstairs and finds Baby Yoda fishing around in the container, and he pulls out one of these unfertilized purple eggs and eats it. Okay.
Yep.
My reaction when I saw that was like, "Oh no!" Like, don't eat that, right? So, like, it got the exact right reaction, right? I was like, it was. I think it was supposed to be a combination of cute and gross, and they nailed it, right? I was just like, "Oh no." It's just like, but like at no point did I think that like, oh no, he's eating her babies, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's the same as us eating chicken eggs.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
unfertilized.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Except
so
we don't just pull them out of the carton and pop them into our mouth.
Yeah, we go to Denny's at 11 o'clock at night and get like fried eggs and moons over my hammy, and Baby O didn't do that. Like, nope, right out of the thing, right? And he eats like 3 of them throughout the course of the episode. Okay, so what Jeremy was talking about, like when are people going to turn on Baby Yoda with the Urkel factor? I don't know if this is the Urkel factor a lot. I mean, in a sense, it could be, but I think it's really more of the guy who wrote this article is a moron. So there was this article.
I mean, there were a few people talking about it. It wasn't just this one guy, but
right. But like, okay, but this is the one that I saw and the one that I sent to Jeremy. They got from Collider.com on November 7th. Jeez, this was a long time ago. The Mandalorian season 2 headline: Baby Yoda devoured a woman's children, and we need to talk about it. That's the headline. Baby Yoda devoured a woman's children, and we needs to talk about it. Is that even?
No, he didn't.
Okay, first of all, is that like, regardless about the whininess of it, Baby Yoda devoured a woman's children? Is that syntax even correct? That doesn't seem like it's right. So. Baby Yoda devoured a woman's children. That doesn't seem right. I don't know. We're gonna have to get. I'm sure there's a listener out there, because they're everywhere. Grammar. I'm not gonna say the word that begins with N and finishes with AZIS, because you know how the internet is now. But the grammar police. Is this correct? Send an email to dave@trueblueriffcast.com. Baby Yoda devoured a woman's children, and we need to talk about it, particularly with the woman's children.
I like the sub headline. It is time to discuss the bad thing the baby did.
Yes, it's time to discuss by Vinny Mancuso. Should we read this? How long is this going to take? I don't think this is very long.
I don't think we got time to go through the whole thing.
No, but
we've got too much.
I'll just read the first paragraph. I'll just read. Yeah. How cute must the Disney creation be before we're hold on. Take 2. Welcome back from the internet, everybody. How cute must a Disney creation be before we're chill with it eating the unborn children of a refugee mother? These are absolutely not the questions I thought the Mandalorian season 2 would have me asking, and yet here we are after The Passenger, in which Baby Yoda, whom I will not be calling the child, despite what any Target exclusive merchandise would say, munches on some larvae as a treat. The context in his ongoing search for fellow Mandalorians. Our main Mando, Pedro Pascal, is tasked with ferrying a frog lady and her spawn to her husband one sector away. The catch, however, is that Mando can't jump to hyperspace because it would kill the frog lady's spawn, thus ending her family line forever. She makes this very clear. These eggs are the last of my brood of my life cycle, she said to Mando. My husband has risked his life to carve out an existence for us on the only planet that is hospitable for our species. Oh, how much longer is this? Just a little bit more. In a slight tonal shift, there is also a recurring gag throughout the episode that sees Baby Yoda just popping these spawns into his gullet like kettle corn, just crunching this frog lady's family tree like he's halfway through the trailers at the AMC matinee. Not this year, mansplainer. Baby Yoda doesn't often have a defined goal throughout the episodes of The Mandalorian, but here my guy is singularly focused on devouring as many of these embryonic snackaroos as his tiny body can handle. In the episode ends with Baby Yoda staring his mother in the eye triumphantly in his ungodly mission to decimate her family for generations to come before slurping down one more egg. And there's more. But
it was a great reading, by the way. Hey, you know what? Everybody, you can't stop eating poplars, right?
Yeah. Great Futurama reference.
No, but okay, they made it clear in the episode that they were unfertilized.
Yeah, these are unfertilized eggs.
In the next episode, okay, there is actually something grosser that happens in this episode, because they're escaping the space police.
Yeah,
and they crash on
this ice planet. Yeah,
and baby Yoda finds all of these other eggs, while the frog lady is sitting in a hot spring with her eggs floating in the water. Baby Yoda finds other eggs. And he rips one open, and it's got this green, slimy little spidery thing.
He eats everything.
He just slurps it right down. And then the rest of those come alive. So you know what? When that big mama spider comes out, I think he's more guilty of eating her children than he is the frog ladies.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a spider. Spiders aren't alive. Spiders aren't. Spiders don't have souls. Frog ladies do.
They get off the ice island with actually the help of the space police, because Mando delivered all those bounty hunters in the previous season on the space prison ship thing.
Oh yeah, Bill Burr. When are they coming back? Those guys were great.
And so they go to the water planet that's full of Akbars. And
yes, the Mon Calamari. I have something to say about this planet and this season about the Mandalorian in general. Is that okay? So you have these Cthulhu aliens, right? And they're like pirates, okay? And you have the
Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean,
and you have these Mon Calamari, that are Akbars, okay?
And then we even get the guy from the very first episode.
Yes, back. Exactly, and that's in the next episode.
Horatio Sands.
Everybody is treating all these fish aliens like it's totally okay to be racist against each of these fish alien people. Like I don't know if Frog Lady is included. I don't know if I would include her as being a fish alien, but definitely because Mando says Mon Calamari, like just in this totally like there's this totally like racist against Mon Calamari. Like, Mon Calamari can't fix anything, right? And he's just like dragging along, and it's okay to just murder all these Cthulhu monsters they're on planet Lovecraft Boston of Star Wars.
And that does happen because they they take Mando to find the other Mandalorians, but it's a trap.
It is a trap. It's a trap.
They end up, they want to kill him and take his Beskar. And then the other Mandalorians show up.
Yeah.
They jetpack in.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels.
Is that another Rebels thing? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just know that it's Katie Sackhoff, Sasha Banks, and a guy whose name I don't know. Now, Sasha Banks... Now, okay, well, first let's start off with Katie Sackhoff. Katie Sackhoff, I'm sure many people in our audience will know, most famous for Longmire. No, I'm just kidding. She's most famous for... I almost said Star Trek The Next Generation, but that's not it. It's Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
And the other female Boba Fett that they get to take their helmets off is the professional wrestler we all know as Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks, I don't know if she's a great actress. You can't really tell from her performance because they didn't let her say a lot.
She does a good job of slurping down CG worms.
Yeah, yeah. I think they brought her on to have her so they could shoot her as in film her, and have her smirk at the camera, and say one or two things with her helmet on, so wrestling fans just go oh look, Sasha Banks, and then it's over, and so they have the WWE market. And so the WWE fans they got their Disney Plus subscription to see Sasha Banks in The Mandalorian, and they're cool with it.
Now, Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff, did the voice for the character in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and they actually modeled the character to look like her.
Really?
So, yeah, so when she played her in live action, all they had to do was do up her hair a little bit, and she was good to go. But she is taking down an Imperial transport ship, and she needs Mando's help.
Everyone needs Mando's help.
Yes. He leaves the child, Baby Yoda, with Frog Lady and her husband and their babies, who, when we last see them, actually start to hatch because they had been fertilized.
Yeah, because they had been fertilized. They went. They did their weird sex thing. That's not really sex. What? And, that's what it is.
Yeah. So they go. Well, Bo-Katan and the other two Boba Fetts take off their helmets in front of Mando, and that freaks him out. He's where did you get that armor?
There's an interesting story about that. Sorry, I'm just going to take the reins here again for just a second. There's an article. There's a rumor out there that when that got filmed, because Pedro Pascal lost his mind because, as an actor, he wants everybody to see his great face. And look at me, I'm Pedro Pascal. I am a movie star. I was in Game of Thrones, and I got my skull crushed in. But when he got to the contract, they're like, no, you have to put your helmet on for the whole thing. He never takes his helmet off, and it was a big deal. And they're like, okay, we'll let you take your helmet off one time, and it's got to be with not IG-88, IG-11.
IG-11.
Yeah. If you don't know who IG-88 is, Google it. But when Katie Sackhoff and Sasha Banks and nameless white male show up and take their helmets off, and apparently Pedro Pascal didn't know that was going to happen until they shot it, because I guess he doesn't read this. Because I guess he doesn't read the script. And I guess he lost his mind. He started cursing everybody out. He called George Lucas, called Kathleen Kennedy, Kevin Feige, Jon Favreau, everybody in charge, and he got on the set and he threw a fit, and they're like, you need to leave the set right now. And it was almost a big deal.
I remember reading about that, and I think that's a load of crap, because I just heard it said that he quit the show. That was.
I don't think he quit the show. I don't think he.
No, I know, but that's what people were saying happened. That he quit the show because he got mad about it. But I really doubt that that's the case.
I doubt that he quit. I don't think but I can buy that this story happened.
At least partially. I don't think he called
like,
everybody, but
yeah, like in some context, I think that story is true, where he got upset to be like, all these guests who get to come on for one shot, more on that, and show me up, get to have literally more FaceTime than me. And what's the deal, right? Me, Pedro Pascal, look at my great face. I was on Game of Thrones. But anyway, that's the story with that. So anyway, Katie Sackhoff and Sasha Banks.
But we find out that Mando is part of a religious sect of Mandalorians that left the planet Mandalore, and they were called the Children of the Way or Children of the Walk or something like that.
Yeah,
and
something dumb.
Something they wanted to go back
off the top of their head.
They wanted to go back to the old ways, and like they could never take off their helmets around people and blah blah blah. And so basically, yeah, he's just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So I think
I'm a foundling.
I think that's probably going to change. Where he's going to maybe start taking the helmet off. Something's going to happen, but that's just my guess. Maybe in the finale. Again, he'll remove the helmet, but I think it'll be on a more regular basis now. But they go and attack the freighter, and it turns out that she's just looking for Moff Gideon and the Darksaber, because the ruler of Mandalore is supposed to have the Darksaber, and she's the one who's supposed to have it. Like she had it in the show.
True king.
Yes. And then like everybody on the ship dies except for the Mandalorians because they're ordered to kill everybody. Like Moff Gideon's like, you know what you need to do, don't get captured. And so he like shoots the pilots, and then he like bites an electronic thing in his mouth and like tases his brain or something. I don't know. So they tell Mando to go to this planet and go find Ahsoka Tano.
They name drop Ahsoka Tano, and everyone like loses their minds.
Yeah, tell him Bo-Katan sent you, and that was the end of the episode. And his ship gets kind of repaired from the crash in the previous episode. So in the next episode, he flies back to
Navarro.
Navarro, yes.
Navarro is a fine planet.
And we get Carl Weathers again.
He directed this episode.
Yes, he did.
And what's the actress's name?
Good job.
Welcome back from the edit, everybody. I just made a completely inappropriate joke. That actress's name, who I completely respect, her name is Gina something.
Yes.
But she's a great actress. She's a great part of the show.
They end up, there's one more like Imperial stronghold left on Navarro. And so they go to blow it up. But while they're there, they discover, there's some experiments going on here. And we see a recording from the scientist in season 1 who drew the blood from Baby Yoda.
I thought he was dead.
I thought he was too, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Because it was a recent recording. But
yeah,
they find out that they're using the blood to infuse these clones with midichlorians.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no! Talk about his M count and stuff.
What? Clones with midichlorians, the M count. Yeah. I like how they don't want to say midichlorians. Like, hey, look.
Yeah.
Downplay the midichlorians, because that's like... that word does not pull well with Star Wars fans. It's like saying Jar Jar Binks or Rose Tico. Don't say it.
So they blow up that thing up, and that's the gist of the whole episode, basically.
Basically, what they're implying is that they're setting up how they cloned Palps, old Shivi Palps for episode 9. And to that, all I can say is, at least they're giving it more thought than J.J. Abrams did.
But enough about that. Let's move on to the next episode, where we finally get to see Ahsoka Tano in person, now played by Rosario Dawson.
Here's my thing with I haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels. I went to go see the very first, the Clone Wars movie.
Oh God, with the baby Jabba, that was terrible.
Here's the thing. I don't remember a lot about it. Number one, it was 2008. It was 12 years ago, and I walked out. So like, but what I do remember about that is I remember Ahsoka Tano running up, being like, "Hi, Anakin Skywalker, I'm your Padawan," and Anakin's like, "What is this?" Right? And I remember like, "This is lame. Like, why are you gonna? Yeah, that's stupid." And I never thought I'd see that character again because the movie was not well received at all.
No.
So I never thought that that character would ever be anything. I mean, why would I? I mean, look at how stupid she looks. But apparently, she's like number one good girl. You know, she's like best boy. You know, she's everyone's favorite, like almost as much as Luke Skywalker.
Now, there's a lot of connection with this episode and mainly Star Wars Rebels. Ahsoka Tano does show up for a few episodes in that show. One of them, spoilers, she fights Darth Vader in a Sith temple, and her fate is unknown until almost the end of the final season of Rebels, where the main character, Ezra Bridges, basically goes back through time and saves her.
Okay, so
through this weird force portal.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You just told me more. You just gave me more context about what I had to expect from this latest episode of The Mandalorian than what the show gave me. Right? I'm not trying to complain about it, but I'm just saying that it just seems like I didn't have a lot of context. Like, Ahsoka Tano shows up. I know she's Ahsoka Tano because everyone makes the big deal about her all the time. But like everything else that's happened, it's implied that I'm supposed to know what's going on, and I don't. So I'm glad I have you to explain it to me. I mean, no, really, I really am. I mean, you know, it was a good episode, but at the same time, it's like, what's happening here?
Yeah, it was this episode, for further context, was directed and written by Dave Filoni. He's the guy who wrote the Clone Wars and Rebels and whatever Star Wars Resistance was, and he directed this episode, so he knew like everything he could put in there to get the fans, the people who've seen the other stuff. Because also in Rebels, we are introduced to the canon version of Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Okay, yes, I have to talk about that. Because when she said, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" I lost it. I was just like, hey, that's a word. Like, yes, that's something that I know. Because I would be like, oh, no, like live action Thrawn, we better get to see that. They better not say his damn name and then have him not show up. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that got me.
I would imagine they
actually spoke his name in this show. Because, dude, I'm so dude, Thrawn. I'm a Thrawn fan. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, it's he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
He is the main enemy in the last 2 seasons of Rebels, and the series ends with him and Ezra both missing. The series actually ends right after Return of the Jedi, where Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren, who's the resident Mandalorian on the show, decide that they need to go find Thrawn and Ezra. And so this is the first time we've seen them since that, and she's still looking for Thrawn. Definitely now you have to check out Rebels, because you know Thrawn's in it. So
yeah.
The other thing of importance that we get from this episode is Baby Yoda's name.
Oh, that's
which was already mentioned once this episode.
Grogu.
And that was Grogu. Yes, Grogu, eat the eggs. Grogu, eat the eggs.
Grogu. See, I like saying Grogu like that because there's this old video game called Warcraft 2, and one of the big things everybody remembers about this game from like the mid 90s is that you like click on like your orcs a lot of times, and they'll say like weird stuff. Fun fact, one of the things that the orcs would say, like, yes, ready for work. What? Right? One of them would be like, this is around the time when Home Improvement was like at the apex of its popularity. and people. There are lots of people scratching your heads, and I was like, "What's a Home Improvement?" But Home Improvement was a sitcom, much like Family Matters in the '90s.
But it had Santa Claus in it.
Yeah, yes, that's right. It was starring Tim Allen. Yeah, it was Tim Allen before he was known primarily for Toy Story. He was Tim the Toolman Taylor, and one of his catchphrases was "Rawr, rawr, 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 rawr," right? Because he's a big man and he likes tools. And right, and that was one of the things that these orcs say is right. So they did like a Home Improvement thing, and they left it in the game, and nobody past the year 1999 is going to recognize it unless you know specifically that's what it is. But anyway,
there's today's quick history lesson on television.
Yes.
Last time it was Urkel, and now
last time it was Family Matters. Yes, now it's Home Improvement. But one of the things that these orcs would say would be "Zwobo," right, in whatever their dumbass orc language is. And that when I heard Grogu, I just hear it like Zobu. I just say Grogu. So anytime I hear Grogu, I gotta say it like the orcs in Warcraft. Grogu. There's 2 minutes of your life you're never going to get back, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
And now you're all caught up on the Mandalorian.
That's right. So, so here's my thing about Baby. So Baby Yoda's not Yoda, which, okay, whatever. I thought maybe he was going to get sent back in time because I know they do like time travel. I know they did time travel shenanigans in the TV show, but I guess it's not Yoda, it's Grogu. So is Grogu like Yoda and Yaddle's baby?
I don't know. They did say that he was raised at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant.
Then why wasn't he murdered
for a while? Well, they said when they executed Order 66, he was taken from the temple and protected.
Master Skywalker.
By whom? Hopefully we find out. But yeah, then it says his memory from there is dark and he doesn't really know what happened. And then she said she couldn't train him because she sensed much fear in him, and she knows what that can do because she saw it.
Because
Jedi
of
Master.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. So, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate leads to wooden performances by Hayden Christensen. And we don't want that in the Mandalorian, so she's not going to train him.
He was okay.
But she said if you take him to this other Jedi temple and put him on top of a rock, he can reach out with the Force and maybe someone will hear him.
Put him on the Sorting Hat.
Yeah. So maybe that's how we're going to get, like Ezra coming in or something. I don't know. Maybe they'll digitally de-age Luke Skywalker and have
maybe they'll take him to Ahch-To, and we get to see more fish aliens and porgs.
Porgs. Oh man. So yeah, that's your Mandalorian recap on the True Blue Mando cast.
On the True Blue Mando cast.
And now we can finally talk about Rift Tracks.
I was about to say, do we have any time to talk about Rift Tracks now?
Yes, we do.
Everybody who came here to listen to the Rift Tracks, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, it's kind of like, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory? Now we have to talk about Battle for the Lost Planet, and like, I just want to kill myself now.
Yeah, Battle for the Lost Planet is not good. Like,
bad.
I know that we say that a lot for a lot of movies.
Yeah,
but this is really stupid.
It's not the worst. Okay, I'll say that. I know we come on here a lot. We talk about, this was the worst movie ever, but it wasn't. It's definitely up there though.
It's at least better than Like and Colony.
Yes, I'll give it that. I do Like and Colony, the worst. I mean, I don't know if it can get worse than that.
Well, I'm sure it can.
Let's not find out.
I hope not. Yeah, Battle for the Lost Planet is about a industrial spy who takes a space shuttle out of a hangar and flies off planet, and then damages the controls just in time for these pig aliens to show up and destroy most of life on Earth.
Okay, now
as
these
he
are
floats off into outer space.
These are the worst aliens we've seen on Rift Tracks. I will say that.
It's the worst aliens
as far as aliens
overall.
specifically on Rift Tracks. These are the worst. I can't think of a worse alien. Yeah, I mean, like even the aliens in Star Games had decent makeup.
Yeah. These guys are terrible. Every effect in this movie is awful.
Is bad.
Like, yeah. The ships are like literally little toys that they like are like flying through like a background. When the cities are being destroyed from space, they look like they're just like cardboard cutouts of buildings.
When you make the effects from Star Games look good, sorry, guy who did the. Oh, we'll get into that. We'll to be continued. We'll put a pin in that. Pin it there. Remember it. We're putting a pin in that special effects. Remember it.
But yeah, it's this guy. There's this schlub, like he's supposed to be some industrial spy, and all these people know him. And yeah, he goes off in space, and as he's floating, it's 5 years I think that they said he's floating in space. He's kind of going a little crazy because he's stuck in the ship by himself, and so he draws boobs all over everything. He walks around in his brown bikini underwear, which they do make the joke that the underwear were white when he took off. But like there's this whole scene where he's like groping a pillow that he drew like the stick figure woman on with big boobs.
You speak the true?
And then his orbit just kind of takes him naturally back toward Earth.
Yeah, because that's how space works.
And he lands back on Earth, and he discovers that most of humanity has been wiped out.
Derp.
Yeah, he finds Dana, played by Denise Coward. It's oh my gosh. There's just weird random things that happen. The worst scene in this movie, I'm just going to lay this out there. There is some nudity in this film.
Yeah.
Most of it is Harry. Because there's a scene where Harry and Dana are outside next to a fire, and they're talking, and she's like horny on Maine because she's like, I want you to do all the things that you've been thinking about for the last 5 years.
Yeah, no thanks. You don't know what this guy's been thinking.
That was some strong Page 34 vibes right there. Listen to the last episode to get that reference, guys.
Page 34.
So they're under a blanket, both naked, and this mutant creature comes up and grabs her with its tentacle and drags her off of him. And he gets up while he's naked and starts fighting this creature. And as Mike says, we saw his lost planet.
Yeah.
And what did Kevin say? Something about dragon sack up a tree.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
because he climbed a tree naked. And they called the monster the.
I stepped out of the room. I had stepped out of the room briefly, and I heard that joke, and I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't see whatever it is they're talking about.
You're lucky then for missing that, because I didn't. But they blow up like one of the command towers for the aliens, and that's the end of the movie. It's dumb. It's really dumb. It's like there's no plot points to talk about. Oh, the riff is outstanding. There's so many things that I laughed about. They actually referenced Gymkata in here once too during a fight between Harry and Mad Dog. But let's talk about the director. Let's talk about the director and the writer and the person who did the special effects for this movie.
His name is Brett Piper. Apparently, he is. I would assume that he is friends with our good friend David Giancola. And why would I assume that, Jeremy? What could possibly make me assume that he knows David Giancola, director of Time Chasers and Icebreaker and others?
Probably because he's the writer and special effects director and the director of the film Arachnia.
What?
Yeah. So he was responsible for that turd.
I gotta say, Brett Piper, I don't think you should be making movies, bro.
well, that's the thing. He's still making movies. And in fact, his latest movie that came out in 2019 was called Outpost Earth. Okay, listen to the synopsis and tell me if it sounds familiar to you.
Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Monstrous alien creatures have taken over the Earth and wiped out most of human civilization. Now a small band of renegade fighters must find the secret to defeating the aliens for the sake of all mankind.
Wow, that sounds a lot like the movie we just watched.
Yeah, Battle for the Lost Planet. Which also has a direct sequel called Mutant War. Or the other title, Mutant Man Want Pretty Women.
I'm glad you said that, because that sets me up to talk about this dude's. Okay, so on IMDb he has a lot of credits. Okay, we're just going to go through the special effects credits, because if we go through if we go through everything else, like I said, it's going to be like we'll be talking about Star Wars. We'll be here all day.
Yeah, we're only doing this just because of the titles of these movies.
Listen to these titles. These are the titles of the special effects that this man has done. Okay, and the most recent one is this year. There's one that's filming. Anyway, Real Monsters, which, okay, whatever. Shark Encounters of the Third Kind. Zillafoot. Lycan Mater. Sharkenstein. Nightmare, spelled with a K, like nightmare. Empire of the Apes. Snow Shark, Ancient Snow Beast. That's all one title. Snow Shark, Ancient Snow Beast. She-Rex. Kinky Kong. Bikini Girls on Dinosaur Planet. Among Us. Arachnia, which, whatever.
Yeah.
Body Shop. Guerrilla Warfare, Battle of the Apes. Night Thirst. Trapped, Bury Alive. Hellgate, The House That Screamed 2. Blood Red Planet. Terror House. They Bite. And They Bite, the crossover between them and They Live. They Bite.
They Bite.
Raiders of the Living Dead. That's in 1986. I can't imagine what that's about. And Mysterious Planet.
I have two things that I want to say about some of those. One, I would watch a movie called Hellgate : and two, for like Animator or Lycan Mater or whatever.
Lycan Mater. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like that sounds like it was like Lycan Colony and Roller Gator had a baby, and it's Lycan Mater.
He is also credited as being the tentacle wrangler for that movie.
Oh my god! He wrote Baby Ghost.
What?
I'm lying. That's
he wrote Baby Ghost. Oh,
no,
you
gotcha.
Oh man, you got me all excited there for a minute. The point we're making here is that Brett Piper makes a lot of garbage.
Yeah, a lot of it.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see, what was it, Mutant War? I wouldn't be surprised to see that show up as a riff either, just because it's a direct sequel to this movie. And I think we might see it eventually.
What else is there left to do?
Really, really bad. I don't know. They did just give it a Blu-ray release. The two movies together on a Blu-ray.
Oh well.
I did notice that.
Maybe we will get it because Riff Tracks likes to make us suffer. They did it with Oblivion. Thanks for that, Riff Tracks.
I do need to mention this review for Battle for the Lost Planet. I have to read you this one this little bit here. Case in point, Battle for the Lost Planet, a rare example of a sci-fi film that succeeds despite its limitations.
What?
And from a production standpoint, Battle for the Last Planet achieves its goals. The absurd premise is superbly realized, the narrative moves along briskly, and the crudely executed special effects work in the film's favor.
No, everything that man said is wrong.
That was from Michael Boer. Sorry, Michael Boer.
Sorry. Okay, so you mean that's a pseudonym for Brett Piper?
Probably. Because that movie, that does not deserve any of that praise that guy heaped on it.
It succeeds, and the things that suck about it actually make it better. This is a good movie.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's not one that I could see sitting around watching unriffed in any...
No, absolutely not. You would watch 2 minutes of that movie and nope out.
Yes. I would at least get within the first couple minutes when he starts humping the pillow, and I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
what was that?
not,
What was that movie
that
had that grotesque rat Night of Terror?
Yes, rats.
Yeah, they had
This was worse than that. The two scenes in this. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You think that was worse? I think the scene in Rat is worse.
I don't know. The dude doesn't get up and run around naked trying to do his best Tommy Wiseau.
It's some pretty fierce humping that's going on in Rats, but that's like the one thing I remember about Rats. I was so horrified by seeing that. I was just like, what is this, Riff Tracks? Wow.
Let's move on from Battle for the Lost Planet.
Yes,
we do
let's
recommend
do
it,
that.
by the way. But
I
let's
recommend it. It doesn't mean it's not dumb, though. I mean,
no. Let's move on to the long-awaited riff of Gymkata.
Gymkata.
This movie has been wanted by fans
by pretty much everybody.
The MST3Ks, like they dropped all kinds of references to it back then. They've been dropping references throughout Riff Tracks to Gymkata, and now we finally got Gymkata. Now, the big deal about Gymkata is it stars the Olympic gymnast Kurt Thomas as an Olympic gymnast who learns martial arts to enter a deadly competition in the country of Parmesan. No, it's Parmesan, but still, it might as well be Parmesan. One thing I want to note about our star here, Kurt Thomas, doing my research as we often do before we start talking about things, and definitely not just during the podcast itself.
Yeah, we never do that.
He recently passed away. He died in June. The day after my birthday, he died this year. He apparently had a stroke at the end of May and just didn't make it. So now he will be forever remembered by Riff Tracks fans. And what is, I'm sure, bound to be a good classic entry in the MP3.
We need more MP3s because just like watching this one, it's just like I just get so I don't know what it is. I just get so excited whenever we get a new MP3 and get to run it along a movie like Riff Tracks. You know, it's really exciting for me to kind of like it just gets me really excited when we
this was good. I mean, and let's see, the last one we got was Avengers Endgame. Yeah. And before that, it was Star Wars.
Yeah, so, I mean, we still get them. They're very few and far between now. And, you know, I've said it before. I mean, the MP3, I mean, like, look, I know the MP3 era itself is over. And I don't think we're ever going to see a return to just MP3s anymore. But I don't know, man. I would just really like to see
more than 4 a year.
Yeah, I would. You know, something like, you know, I just kind of want like that, like excitement back a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel like now I know there's tons and tons and tons of VODs out there that are potential that they haven't done, We're not scraping the bottom of the barrel and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. We're not in danger of running out of bad movies on video at all. I mean that's absurd. But we have seen a lot of them. Quite a bit. Not nearly. We haven't even scratched the surface of it. But over the last few years, they've just been giving us tons and tons and tons of these movies. And so to like get like a breath of fresh air like this, especially people like you and me, Jeremy, people who watch every single one of these, it's really it's so great to kind of like get like that nostalgia boost of what Riff Tracks was 10 years ago that got us all excited to just be a part of this and to.
Well, and the good thing is we know we're getting one more this year.
Yes, Mortal Kombat.
And that is Mortal Kombat. So it kind of goes good with Gymkata, a nice double feature of martial arts. But yeah, this one, and they're both about games too, Deadly Games. Go figure.
And Riff Tracks, if you're listening, I know you guys have wanted to do It's a Wonderful Life. Just do it. Just do it. There is not one thing stopping you guys from doing it. Just do it.
Yeah. We got a tease of it in the Yule log.
Yeah. No, we need the whole thing, guys. I think that would be the perfect Riff Tracks present for 2020. We've been through a lot this year, guys. I think it would be a treat for everybody to close out 2020. But that's just me. I don't run Riff Tracks. I'm not telling you guys what you got to do. I'm just saying it would be really, really nice. That's all I'm saying.
Tell you what, if we get a release at the last couple days of the year, like we did with Attack of the Super Monsters.
Oh yeah,
last year, I'll be happy because that was
how great was that? Just to like cap off like 2019. That was already just a crazy, insane year. I dare say that 2019 like rivals at very least that very last part of 2019 rivals like the very first part of 2017. The run I'm talking about, where just like they just were like cramming crazy at it's like bam, 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 bam. It was just like knockout punch after knockout punch of just pure insanity. And they did it again in 2019, and they capped it off with Attack of the Super Monsters. And it's just like, what? Right? But
I mean, we had a few this year because, I mean, the span of, a month, we got what?
Suburban Sasquatch,
Aladdin, Lichen Colony.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
Stitches was in there.
Stitches. I dare say nothing. I mean, like as fun of a year as we've had, I don't think anything's really beaten Suburban Sasquatch yet.
A couple have come close.
Yeah, but not like if you put up if you had to ask me now, gun to my head, riff of the year, and it's between Suburban Sasquatch and Lichen Colony, I think I would have to give it to Suburban Sasquatch. I know some people out there are going to disagree, but Suburban Sasquatch, man, along with new MP3s, I think that's the kind of movie that Riff Track needs. That's what gets me excited about Riff Tracks is just crazy stuff like that,
or these long-awaited movies like Gymkata.
Yes,
like
exactly.
If we ever get Masters of the Universe, that's like for a lot of people, that's the top of the list that they want. Let's get back to Gymkata. We start off with an athletic competition, like an actual like Olympic. The guy's doing like the parallel bars or whatever, and he lands it, and whatever actual few people they had there on the soundstage applaud. And then he goes immediately into a training montage for the game in Parmistan. And like Kevin said, it's like they took all the other training montages from every other movie and put it into a blender and made a smoothie out of it. And that really is what it felt like, because he was being trained by like 3 different people on different ways to fight. Like the Japanese guru who was telling him to hear but only the air of the axe, not the chopping of the wood, which comes into play later when they're all shooting at him with bow and arrows, and he just listens to the arrows and dodges perfectly. But we also, in this training montage, or shortly thereafter, get to see Kurt Thomas do one of his signature moves that was actually named after him. He has three gymnastic moves that were named for him. There's the Thomas Flare, which is his pommel horse move, which I'm sure he did during the wonderful scene where he's like fending off all the villagers on this pommel horse that just happens to be sitting there. And, he's just swinging around, kicking everybody. The Thomas Salto, this is what he did in the movie. It's like a backflip, but then he also like twists the other way and lands on his feet. And he did that during one of the scenes with the princess when he's having a conversation with himself, with one part of him pretending to be her. It's weird, but I mean, it was a cool move. But
Sweet moves, bro.
Yeah, totally. So he ends up going to Parmistan. Before he gets there, the princess was kidnapped, and he goes in and frees her, and then he goes on to the game, and they're all hunting him down basically, and that's the whole premise of the movie. I mean, obviously he wins. He has the final battle against the Zamir or whatever the guy's name was. And yeah, his dad dies. Like, it's just bonkers. I don't know how they came up with this idea. Well, no, I do, because it was the mid 80s. So there was lots of cocaine going on at the time, but
push it to the limit.
This is the type of movie that needed the riff tracks treatment.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never seen this movie without the riff tracks, honestly.
It would be fun enough to watch in a group of guys or a group of people, friends, whatever. If you're all like drunk or high or whatever, you'd probably get enjoyment out of it by itself. But it's more fun to do it this way.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. I mean, I said it before. MP3s, they get the blood pumping, guys. Love them.
Yes, we definitely need more MP3s, and I'm glad we're getting at least one more this year that we know about. Bring it on. I'm ready for Mortal Kombat.
Woo! Mortal Kombat!
And with that, another episode comes to a close. If you like the True Blue Mando cast, head on over to patreon.com/True Blue Riffcast, and you can support us for a couple dollars a month, and you can get some bloopers and behind the scenes things and some looks ahead at what's coming. You get advanced access to the short reviews of Riff Track shorts. You get them 48 hours before the rest of the world has access to them, and a bunch of other little fun things that we do over there. And I am Jeremy. You can find me at pbandawesome.com. You can find me on Twitter at pbandawesome. You can follow the podcast at tbriffcast.
And I'm Dave Chadwick, a.k.a. Sugar Ray Dodge. Check me out on the web at sugarraydodge.com. Send me emails at dave@trueblueriffcast.com.
And we will see you guys next time right here on the True Blue Riffcast.
Rock till you die.